All right. Bye, you can be the question person. Looks good. Is it working?
So,
All right, hi. Welcome to In Air's Kitchen. Air here. We are going to make tomato gazpacho today, and I was just having another little technical difficulty. I was trying to start this live stream on a scheduled show, and it won't let me for some reason. So, in any case, we're starting up a new episode. I hope people can find it. We're going to stream this live. We are back this week, so we're going to do episodes every day this week, and the reason we're going to do that is because tomatoes are beautiful and in season. So we're going to do an episode today with tomato gazpacho, and then we're going to do other fun things with fresh tomatoes through the rest of the week. You've got something, Vi?
It's not.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
I think you're good.
Yep, I think we're good. Viola was just, she wanted to read the questions, and it was having trouble pulling up the questions. I'm just helping set up the questions right now. All right, so I think that this will be. All right, oops. Then we're going to listen to ourselves. We don't want that. This will show you the questions, okay? Good?
Okay.
All right, so let's get going with the recipe here. You're going to need tomatoes for this, and I'll talk about each of these ingredients in a minute, but this is a really simple and beautiful soup. I first made this on food truck back when I was starting Clover. I'd never made gazpacho before, and I remember this really clearly. I was on the phone with Rolando, who was helping me out. He was the chef at Clover at the time, and he's like, gazpacho, make gazpacho, it's great, and we have all these tomatoes, and I was like, I've never made gazpacho, and he gave me some really simple instructions, and he said just put more vinegar in it than you think it needs. And later that day I had a customer at MIT who was from Spain, and she came back to me after getting her soup, and she said, this is great, I am from Spain and I haven't had gazpacho like this away from home. She was really excited about it, which is really fun. So we've been making it that way since, and it's really delicious. Since then I've traveled to Spain, I've had gazpacho in Spain. I think the version that we do at Clover is a really beautiful version of gazpacho. It's also like a close match. Thank you, Rolando, for that early tip. And we're going to go through something similar to that right here. At this point, we love making gazpacho. We've made tons of gazpacho. We make all different gazpachos. We make green gazpacho with avocado and cucumber in it. We make tomato gazpacho. We make a watermelon gazpacho. Today we're doing the tomato gazpacho because tomatoes are so beautiful right now. So we're going to need tomatoes, we're going to need garlic, we're going to need cucumbers, we're going to need red onions, we're going to need a red jalapeno. And what's similar about all these items is they're all coming out of the garden right now, so it's an awesome thing for this time of year. A bunch of cilantro, which I don't have cilantro right now, so we're going to use parsley instead, but cilantro is what we use at Clover. I'd recommend it if you have it. If you don't, this is not a bad substitution. Red wine vinegar, salt, sugar, and some olive oil. And this is a really, really quick one to make. We're basically going to blend it all up, and then we're going to be done. We're going to have our gazpacho. And the version of gazpacho we do at Clover is pretty well blended. Like, we have a little bit of texture in there, but it's pretty smooth. But you could do it differently. Some people like a really chunky gazpacho. If you want to go for a chunkier gazpacho, I'd recommend you do more chopping before you put it in the blender. The version we're going to blend it pretty smooth, so we don't need to chop the veggies that much. All right, I got Snorri on the ground here to step over, a little obstacle course for the day. And you're gonna help, Blue?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's start out with washing the vegetables. We're gonna pick a few tomatoes, and this is what's exciting right now. There are so many different varieties of tomatoes. I love reading their names, but I don't always keep track of what they are. And some of these are from our garden, some of these are from Western Mass, some of these are from Verrill Farm. I just got a few extras from Verrill Farm, which is just down the street from us. But you can see this one's some sort of a heirloom Roman tomato, and then I think this is a zebra. These are called pink somethings, I can't remember exactly. These, I think we had carbon maybe something, and then there's some red slicing tomatoes. So we have all different choices here, all different kinds of tomatoes. We're going to pick 3 good-sized tomatoes here, so we're going to wash everything. So maybe we'll put that one in there. And I'm picking the tomatoes right now that are a little more ripe, because those are the ones that I think we probably are best off using up. I think that's probably pretty good, Blue. Maybe this one too. So I said 4 tomatoes, but you can see I actually have 5 in there, but there's some of these are a little bit smaller. And I even wonder if we could use one more tomato. I'll put a green one in. So the tomatoes you pick will obviously affect the color of your gazpacho. If we pick some yellow tomatoes, that would add a little different tone to it. The green tomato is going to add a little different color to it, but I think that'll be good. And then we're going to get a red pepper. We have these beautiful heirloom peppers as well. So these like bullhorn peppers, and then we also just have some traditional red peppers. These are from Vero Farm. Peppers are in season right now. You can see I got a little bit excited, so I got a bunch of different peppers. We only need 1 for the recipe. So we're gonna put 1 nice pepper in there. And we're gonna need a cucumber. So this is a large cucumber, but probably a little more than we need. So we might save some of that aside. And we'll need to wash some of our herbs. I think that covers it, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's wash those. So we're going to rinse these veggies off. All right, looking good?
Yeah.
So Blue's doing that really well. He's like submerging them in the water, which is awesome. I've got a little bit of sugar and salt we're going to need, and I might need some olive oil. All right, I think that's going to be everything. The recipe doesn't have pepper in it, but we will want to add a little bit of pepper. And we have a red onion here as well. We get the bowl to use for compost. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to, all these ingredients, we're just going to go ahead and prepare them for the blender. And so in the case of the onion, I'm splitting it in half, I'm just taking off the outer layer of the skin. And because we're blending this, we don't need this to be very finely chopped or anything. I'm gonna use that for the compost. I'm gonna use this for the soup ingredients, because I'm guessing we're probably gonna have a little bit more than we can do in one batch. So we're probably gonna have to do more than one batch in the blender. So there's the onion, all ready to go, and put that in the compost. Look what you got there. All right, really well washed. Always a good idea to wash your vegetables, even if they're organic, because there's dirt on them and stuff like that. So, and it's just a good idea to wash them off. When you wash them, you want to submerge them all the way in the water. All right, do you want to cut some of these, Blue?
Sure.
All right, so you want to try and cut this guy?
Yeah.
So what I recommend is you can cut this side off, okay? But you don't need to take a lot of it off. You're going to cut that off. Then you're going to hold the knife in between your hands like a bridge and cut down the middle. And at that point, we'll rip all the seeds out, okay?
Alright. Choose.
So this you can use that knife, it's okay. Yeah, just be careful with your fingers, but you'll be alright. That's it. Nice job. So this is a really great way to cut a pepper. Once Blue opens it up. Yeah, so you're gonna have to, it's got like a tough skin, but you just, you use a little bit of that motion. Maybe I need to sharpen my knife again. There you go. So inside we have the seeds, and we're just gonna tear out the seeds in the vein. This is not a spicy pepper. If it was, that would be really spicy stuff. We're just taking that out because we don't need that all in the gazpacho in the end. Now that we have these, I would just cut these into some chunks, and there's even some good pepper on the side of this. No reason to waste that. So we're just gonna recover some of that, and then Blue, you want to go ahead and chop that one up? So I'd turn it over. This is a good trick. If you turn it over, this side cuts easier because it doesn't have that hard skin.
Yeah.
Now, yep, that's great. Does that feel a little easier?
Definitely.
Nice job. All right. I'll throw those in there. So these are all going to be like a coarse chop because we're putting it in the blender, so we don't need anything better than that. With your cucumber, this is a giant cucumber, so we're going to use this much of it. It's about half of that cucumber. If we were, if you didn't like the seeds or the skin, you could take them off. I think that would be a really common thing to do. I've been moving further and further away from removing seeds and skins. There's a lot of great fiber in it. I think that the feeling is that there's bitterness in those things. I don't find it offensive, and it's certainly more nutritious to leave the skin there. So we're just going to leave the skin there. We have some herbs. You might be tempted just to throw the herbs in there because you're blending it, but they can get caught around the blade. So I would just give these a rough chop, just like everything else. We're going to throw those in there. We need now a little bit of garlic. So we're going to do, for this recipe, we're going to do 3 cloves of garlic. So I got 1, 2, 3. These are a little bit small, so I'm going to do 1 extra. All right. So here's what I've got here. And with the garlic, we're going to take off some of this papery stuff. And then you can see this root end. I'm just going to go ahead and carefully remove that root. And again. And again. And again. All right, and then I'm going to take all of this. And I'm going to smash these. And this is just a really quick and easy way to get your skin off your garlic. That's all we're doing here. So instead of fiddling around with pulling all that skin off, it comes off really easily. And I'll pick up this garlic, throw it in there. All right. So we got our garlic and onions and peppers and cucumbers and some herbs in there. And now for the tomatoes. And with a tomato like this, we're going to blend these up. So again, back to what I was saying about skins and stems and stuff. I'm not going to worry too much about this, but I'm probably just going to take this little bit off. So I'm just doing some little bit of surgery. And that's just a little bit of the woody part of the stem. That'll make it a little bit more pleasant. So I was saying I'm leaving a lot of seeds and skin in place, but that's one exception. So we've got this tomato, and I'm using a slicing action with my knife. You see that? So I'm letting the blade do the cutting. I'm not pushing down. If I push down, I'll show you what happens. I mean, this is a very sharp knife, but that's what will happen with it. And if you push down with your knife, you're going to make a similar mess. So what you want to do is you want to use a slicing action and let the knife slice through it. If you don't put it in motion, it's going to be hard for that knife to get through the skin. And then I'll show you another time, so we're going to open this one up. So you see, instead of just pushing down, I'm like letting the knife blade slice through that tomato. And this is a really squishy tomato, but I cut it really nicely because I just let that knife blade do the work. I'm going to take these pieces off it. And then once I've done that, this is sort of similar to what we were doing with the pepper. We're going to cut it from this side. I'm not going to turn over and try and cut through the skin because the skin's the tough thing to cut through. So I've already got the skin out of the way, and I'm just going to use the knife blade from the soft side down to cut the tomato. We get a couple more of these. Blue, do you want to do one?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, you good?
Uh-huh.
Whichever one you want. See if you can do that slicing action. Yep, don't have to push down. Yeah. Yeah, it's really like a very gentle motion. You're just sliding the blade over and letting the blade do the cutting.
There's a little comment.
Old comment? That's great, bye.
Air, you have to sharpen that knife.
Well, I probably do need to sharpen the knife, but it's not that bad. These are just very ripe tomatoes. All right. All right, so that's good. That's good enough. And then do a couple more. So I've got this one here. Just take the end off that. And there we go. So this is a jalapeno. This is from our garden, and there's a little bit of the jalapeno that's bad on the end of it. Probably it got wet or something. So I just cut that part off, and I'm scraping some of the seeds out of the inside of it. So our garden grows very, very hot jalapenos, and if I put all those seeds in that, it's going to be spicier than we would like, and then Clementine won't eat the gazpacho, so she's very sensitive to spice. Alright, so that's pretty good. Okay, and you could use a green jalapeno. They're going to have a little more of a grassy note rather than a fruity note. The green jalapeno will also make the gazpacho more green in the end, but there's nothing wrong with it. It'll work fine.
Do you think this will be a red gazpacho or like?
It'll be pretty red, yeah, but there is some green in there too, so it won't be 100% red. So what we're gonna do is just blend this up. And
Question.
yeah, bye.
Is that a slate cutting board?
Is it a slate cutting board? Yikes, that would be a little hard to cut on. No, it looks a little bit like slate, but it's a really, really cool material. It's I can't. I'm trying to make that easier to see, but I made it harder to see. It's called Epicurean. I had this cutting board for a long time. I love it. It's really gentle on the knives and easy to cut with, and you can put it in the dishwasher and it doesn't warp. It's made of some sort of a, I think it's like a paper fiber and a resin, so it's sort of like wood except it's more stable. I like these boards a lot. Epicurean is what it's called. Okay, so now we have our gazpacho, and the recipe we have is going to call for about a tablespoon of salt. I'm going to start off with a teaspoon in here, and we'll add a little more later. And what we're doing is we're going to do this in 2 batches because my blender's not big enough to do it all at once. Maybe 3 batches.
Yeah.
The reason I'm seasoning it a little bit is just to get it closer to where we want it in the end. I'm also going to put a teaspoon of sugar in there. Yep. And I'm going to put, as I said before, I'm going to put some fresh ground pepper in there, even though it's not in that recipe up there. We also want some vinegar, and then this is the part where Rolando was like, put more in than you think you should. So I was looking for some red wine vinegar. You could use white wine vinegar. I think wine vinegar is a really good choice for this. I really would not use apple cider vinegar. You could use a white vinegar, like a neutral white vinegar, rice vinegar, or some other kind of white vinegar. That would be fine, but don't use apple cider vinegar. I love apple cider vinegar, but it's not gonna taste right in this recipe. But red wine vinegar is really, really nice for this. So I'm putting 2 tablespoons, which is quite a bit of vinegar, and we're gonna put more in later. And then we're also gonna put some olive oil in. We're going to put about a 1/4 cup of olive oil in all together, and so this is probably about half of that. Alright, so this is ready to go in the blender. Our blender is not that big. I'm going to start it sort of slow to let everything sort of chop up, and then I'm going to turn it up faster. And as I was saying, I'm making this a pretty well blended gazpacho, so you can see it right in there. Do you want to get the soup tureen blue? The
Yes.
yellow, do you know what I'm talking about?
I think it's right.
This is a really refreshing meal. You don't need to fire up the oven or stovetop at all. And it's also really quick. We're going to have this for dinner tonight. It's going to be ready in a couple minutes. So I figure might as well put it in the soup tureen we're going to serve it in. Just going to wash the dust off of this.
I think the last time.
We haven't had hot soup for a while, have we?
Yeah, I think
Time for
last-
chilled soups.
Last time we had a hot soup was like, I think the tomato, Roman tomato.
Yeah, you might be right. Like,
Just so hot.
yeah, we haven't really made hot soups for a while. We haven't really had soup for a long time. That's right. Now, this soup is really yummy chill. So this is going to be a little bit chilled when we're done with it because most of these vegetables were pretty cold. But if you wanted to chill it further, you can put it in the refrigerator. It holds really well in the refrigerator. And this is a soup that's going to be good in the refrigerator for a few days. So if we don't eat all of it tonight, we'll put the remainder in the refrigerator. It actually holds pretty well. All right. So that is all ready. I'm going to put another teaspoon of salt in it. And I'm going to do a good job posting the recipes this week. So all of these are going to get the recipe posted. I know I haven't done a great job on the recipe posting for some other recent episodes, but I'm going to be on it for today. What's that? You want to taste it? You can taste it. Alright, so we put some more vinegar than you think you would want to. Okay.
Wash it up.
Then we need a little bit of olive oil.
Yum.
You right?
Yes, hot.
There's not a lot of olive oil in this. We're not trying to make a like super fatty thing, but it does help to have a little bit in there. All right.
The soup's really good.
You like it?
Yeah.
So we'll let that go into low speed for a little while. And watch out there, bud.
What do you guys want? Oh no.
So now it's blended up really nicely. I'm going to bring up the speed a little bit. So the last one I left a little more texture in. This one is going to be more pureed. But I think that combination is going to be really nice. And you can also see there's a little bit of a pink color to it. Some of that's from air that I've introduced with the blender. And so when this sits for a little while, it'll be less pink because those air bubbles are going to disappear. So I'm going to take a little taste of this. That's right, it's really good. And Rolato's right, it's really good with a little more vinegar than you think. I'm going to add a little bit more in. So this is sort of we're in the finished stage now. A little more vinegar in. I'm going to add a little bit more salt. And I think that I expected to have to add a little bit more salt. Tomatoes love salt, and I had not put as much as the recipe called for. But that's a good thing to do. You don't want to oversalt it, because then where you can go from there, you just need to make more and more and more. So I tried to undersalt it a little bit initially with the idea that I would want to taste it and then finish it, get it down to the right spot, just like you would a hot soup. Now, the difference between that first taste and that last one is it's just like the whole thing came to life. Like, it was good before, but the change in the seasoning, I can now taste all sorts of little elements of it. I can taste the fruitiness of the jalapeno, which was like not so clear the first time I tasted it. I can taste the parsley in there. I can taste the sweet pepper in there. It's all like, it's really awesome, and it's really alive in my mouth. You want to taste it, Blue?
Yes, I'd love to. Do you ever use lemon juice?
I have not. I suppose you could. I mean, that'd be a yummy acid
That's
as
really
well.
good.
It's really good, isn't it?
Not another.
It's super yummy. It's a really nice temperature right now. It's not freezing cold, but it's not hot. But like I said, you could refrigerate that and it would work really well. And I think what we should do is we should probably just put them in a bowl so you can see how we'd serve it. And otherwise, we're ready to go here. Well, do you want to grab that big cutting board? That's probably, we'll end up the big cutting board back there behind the crocks. That's probably what we'll probably eat it today. So I'm going to take a little bit more crushed pepper. Put all these out of the way. today we're gonna do this. We're gonna have this for dinner. So getting ready for that. And we got some. Well, I was over at Vero Farm. They have really beautiful cheeses. This is a Landaf cheddar from Jasper Hill, which is super yummy. They have some new packaging they're doing. And then this is a fun one. This is Blue Ledge Farm, and this is a goat's milk cheese. Awesome. And then we have some little crackers.
Put in a bowl.
Yeah, you got a little hole to throw these crackers in. Here. I got it. And those remind me of crackers I had when I was having sherry in Spain. And let's see. What we'll probably do is we'll just serve these in a little bowl like this, and you may I'll put a little bit of fresh ground pepper on the top of that, and I might hit it with a teeny bit of olive oil. You could also put a little pile of chopped up onions on there. That would be really yummy as well. But that's a beautiful bowl of gazpacho, and we'll have it with some cheese and crackers. We might make up some lentils, and I have some new potatoes, which I'm pretty excited about, so we might have that as well. And so what we'll probably do while we're cooking the potatoes is I'll put this in the refrigerator and let it cool, and we'll have a little dinner later. Thanks everybody for joining. That's the gazpacho. It's a quick and easy, even though we started a little late, I think we still got done early, so it's about a half an hour, and that's with me taking my time and talking. I hope that you all give this a try at home. Remember, a little bit more vinegar than you think you need.